Good morning, Energy Express friends. Are you ready for another exciting day of Energy Express? We're going to head over to visit our friend Miss Amie and learn a bunch of fun stuff today. We'll start out with the 5 food groups, and then we'll go to a silly hair growing activity, and then we'll head into story time, and then we'll wrap up with Miss Molly's cooking in the kitchen, making 2 of my favorite vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower. Without further ado, let's learn, grow, eat, and go.
Hi friends, Miss Amie here. Today we're going to talk about our 5 food groups, or what's known as My Plate. We're also going to have a fun activity where you get to make a silly head at home that will grow some hair. We'll have a read-aloud story, The Ugly Vegetables, written by Grace Lynn. A great recipe from Molly's Kitchen, cauliflower and broccoli. And we'll get some physical activity. Come along. Let's talk about My Plate. My Plate is categorized food groups. Our bodies need over 40 different types of nutrients, and since My Plate has been categorized by nutrient type, it's important that we eat from all 5 food groups in order to get the nutrients that our bodies need. Let's take a second to look at each food group, see if we can identify a few things from each food group, and talk about the nutrients that it provides to our bodies. Dairy. Can you think of some dairy foods?
Dairy foods contain lots of good nutrients, including vitamins and minerals. Dairy foods are high in calcium and vitamin D, which are very important for keeping bones and teeth strong. Choose fat-free or low-fat dairy foods. Also, it is best to choose milk and yogurt that do not contain sweet flavorings.
Fruits. Can you think of some fruits? Watermelon, apples, oranges, bananas.
Fruits contain minerals and vitamins, including vitamin C, which helps heal wounds and keep our teeth and gums healthy. It also helps our bodies absorb iron. Fruits are also a great source of fiber. Fruit juice contains little or no fiber. Eat whole or cut up fruit instead of drinking juice. If you drink juice, choose 100% juice instead of drinks that are flavored like juice. Also, drink it no more than once a day. Fruits come in 4 forms: fresh, frozen, canned, and dried. They are great to eat as a snack or desserts instead of cookies or candy. It is best to eat fruits without adding sugar to them.
Can you think of some grains? Let's think of whole grains. Popcorn, rice, quinoa, whole wheat bread.
Grain foods are great sources of carbohydrates, which provide energy for our bodies. They also contain vitamins, fiber, and minerals. There are 2 types of grains, whole and refined. Most of the grains you eat should be whole grains. If you are not sure if a food is a whole grain or not, look at the ingredients list on the food package. A whole grain will have the word whole listed first on the ingredients list.
Protein. Can you think of some protein foods? Meat, eggs, fish, nuts, and seeds.
Protein helps build muscle and repair our bodies. Some types of beans and peas, like pinto beans and black-eyed peas, are vegetables, but they also contain lots of good protein. So they are included in the protein food group also. Beans can count as either a vegetable or a protein food, but not both. Try having beans or peas instead of meat.
Vegetables. Can you think of some vegetables that you like to eat? Yellow squash, zucchini, sugar snap peas, and sweet potatoes.
Vegetables contain important vitamins and minerals. They also contain fiber, which is important for proper bowel function, or it helps you go to the bathroom. When we eat vegetables, we help our bodies work at their best. For example, many vegetables contain vitamin A, which helps protect against infections and keeps our eyes and skin healthy. Vegetables come in 4 forms: fresh, frozen, canned, and dried. Some can be eaten raw, others have to be cooked. They make great snacks.
Let's go visit myplate.gov so we can see how many calories our bodies need, get information and tips on how to eat healthier.
So here's the website for MyPlate. First, let's go over to Browse by Audience. Go down to Children. When it loads, select your age group. This is the MyPlate Kids place. Down here you'll find games, activity sheets, videos and songs, moves, and more. Let's look at an activity sheet. Whole grain lesson. Did you know that a whole grain is a seed? Here's a picture. The outer part of the shell protects the seed. It's called the bran. It has fiber, vitamins, and trace minerals. It's important that we eat whole grains so that way we still get the bran. When grains are refined, we lose the bran from the outside. All right, let's go back to MyPlate. And let me show you one more thing. Go to the resources section and the MyPlate plan. With the MyPlate plan, you should be able to figure out how many calories you should be consuming every day based on your age group. If you don't already know how many calories, you can figure it out with this widget. Click the Start button. First, it's going to ask for your age. Let's say I'm 9 and I'm a girl and I'm 65 pounds at 4 foot 2 inches and I'm moderately active. Let's calculate a 1600 calorie diet. When you click on your 1600 calorie diet, it tells you how many fruit servings, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy you should be eating every day. So what is a food source? You can think about what a food source is by thinking about where do you get your food. Whether you're at home or at school, you could be at the grocery store or at your local farmer's market. Any place we go to get food is a source. We need to think about good sources of food and also how to make good healthy choices when we're not able to plan our own meals and we have to go somewhere else to get food. Most menus have an option for healthy, nutritious food, so make sure you familiarize yourself with your food sources. Companion planting and gardening is the planting of different crops close to each other for a number of different reasons. It could be to control the bugs in the garden, pollination, providing habitat for beneficial insects, maximizing the use of your space. In other words, it's to increase your crop's productivity or your plant's productivity. Tomatoes and basil are a great example. They're not only good in sauces, but they're good in the garden too. Basil is also a friend of peppers. Basil helps repel aphids, spider mites, mosquitoes, and flies. Green beans are a great example of a good companion plant. Beans, which are called legumes, help fix nitrogen back into the soil, which is needed for our plants to be healthy. So today we are going to make a funny face that grows hair. You will need some pantyhose, a hot glue gun, soil, grass, seed, water, something for eyes and a mouth, and extra glue in case you need it. The first thing you want to do is you want to put your grass seed at the bottom of your pantyhose. The grass seed will actually germinate and start to sprout, and so it will appear that hair is coming out of your silly face that you make. After you get the grass seed to the bottom, see all the seeds there? We're going to start to fill it with dirt. This can get messy, so take your time. I'm using just a potting soil mix that I had extra of. So once you have put all your soil into your pantyhose, you want to make sure that you get the soil worked down to the bottom and shape it into a circle like a face. Again, we're making a funny face with hair. There we go. That looks very nice. You can see the grass seed in the soil. You want to tie off the bottom, and you want to go around it a few times to make sure that it's not going to spill out. I like to use a whole pipe cleaner. And keep twisting it and twisting it. Perfect. Cut off the bottom. Essentially what we've made at the bottom is what you would call a wick. Next, let's put our eyes on. I couldn't find any googly eyes, so I just used buttons. Remember to ask an adult if you're going to use hot glue. Perfect. Next, my smile. Now it looks like a smiley face. So we have our grass seed at the top, our soil below, and we've created a wick on the bottom. You want to find a jar it can fit in or some type of cup. Let's try the smaller cup. This part at the bottom will wick the water up and it'll germinate the grass seeds so that your funny face can grow a full head of hair.
Today's story is The Ugly Vegetables, written by Grace Lynn. Here we go. In the spring, I helped my mother start our garden. We used tall shovels to turn the grass upside down, and I saw pink worms wiggle around. It was hard work. When we stopped to rest, we saw that the neighbors were starting their gardens too. "Hello, Irma," my mother called to Mrs. Kermermine. Mrs. Kermermine was digging too. She was using a small shovel, one that fit in her hand. "Mommy," I asked, "why are we using such big shovels? Mrs. Kermermine has a small one." "Because our garden needs more digging," she said. I helped my mother plant the seeds, and we dragged the hose to the garden. "Hi, Linda. Hi, Mickey," I called to the Fitzgeralds. They were sprinkling water on their gardens with green watering cans. "Mommy," I asked, "why are we using a hose? Linda and Mickey use watering cans." "Because our garden needs more water," she said. Then my mother drew funny pictures on pieces of paper, and I stuck them into the garden. "Hello, Roseanne," my mother called across the street to Mrs. Angel Howe. "Mommy," I asked, "why are we sticking these papers in the garden? Mrs. Angel Howe has seed packets in her garden." "Because our garden is going to grow Chinese vegetables," she told me. "These are the names of the vegetables in Chinese, so I can tell which plants are growing where." One day I saw our garden growing. Little green stems that looked like grass had popped out of the ground. "Our garden's growing," I yelled. "Our garden's growing." I rushed over to the neighbors' gardens to see if theirs had grown. Their plants looked like little leaves. "Mommy," I asked, "why do our plants look like grass? The neighbors' plants look different." "Because they're growing flowers," she said. "Why can't we grow flowers?" I asked. "These are better than flowers," she said. Soon all the neighbors' gardens were blooming. Up and down the street grew rainbows of flowers. The wind always smelled sweet, and the butterflies and bees flew everywhere. Everyone's garden was beautiful, except ours. Our garden was all dark green and ugly. "Why didn't we grow flowers?" I asked. "These are better than flowers," Mommy said again. I looked, but saw only black, purple, green vines, fuzzy, wrinkled leaves, prickly stems, and a few little yellow flowers. "I don't think so," I said. "You wait and see," Mommy said. Before long, our vegetables grew. Some were big and lumpy, some were thin and green and covered with bumps, some were just plain icky yellow. They were ugly vegetables. Sometimes I would go over to the neighbors and look at their pretty gardens. They would show the poppies and peonies and petunias to me, and I would feel sad that our garden wasn't as nice. One day my mother and I picked the vegetables from the garden. We filled a whole wheelbarrow full of them. We wheeled them to the kitchen. My mother washed them, took a big knife, and started to chop them. "Hi-yow!" she said when she cut them. She had to use all of her muscles. The vegetables were hard and tough. "This is shou hung hua," Mommy said, handing me a bumpy curled vegetable. She pointed to another vegetable. "This is shin zai." "That's hung hao." I went outside to play. While I was playing catch with Mickey, a magical aroma filled the air. I saw the neighbors standing on their porches with their eyes closed, smelling the sky. They took deep breaths of air, like they were trying to eat the smell. The wind carried it up and down the street. Even the bees and butterflies seemed to smell the scent in the breeze. I smelled it too. It made me hungry, and it was coming from my house. When I followed the smell to my house, my mother was putting a big bowl of soup on the table. The soup was yellow and red and green and pink. "This is a special soup," Mommy said, and she smiled. She gave me a small bowl full of it, and I tasted it. It was good. The flavors of the soup seemed to dance in my mouth and laugh all the way down to my stomach. I smiled. "Do you like it?" Mommy asked me. I nodded and held out my bowl for some more. "It's made from our vegetables," she told me. Then the doorbell rang and we ran to open the door. All of our neighbors were standing at the door holding flowers. "We noticed you were cooking," Mr. Fitzgerald laughed as he held out his flowers. "We thought maybe you would be interested in a trade." We laughed too, and my mother gave them each their own bowl of her special soup. My mother told them what each vegetable was and how she grew it. She gave them the soup recipe and put some soup into jars for them to take home. I ate 5 bowls of soup. It was the best dinner ever. The next spring, when my mother was starting her garden, we planted some flowers next to the Chinese vegetables. Mrs. Kummermine, the Fitzgerald, and the Angel House planted some Chinese vegetables next to their flowers. Soon the whole neighborhood was growing Chinese vegetables in their gardens. Up and down the street, little green plants poked out of the ground. Some looked like leaves and some looked like grass. And when the flowers started blooming, we could smell soup in the air. The end. Thanks for joining me for story time.
Garden Journal Week 4. You have learned that a garden must be located where it can provide for the needs of the plants growing there. You have also learned about the 5 food groups that you want on your plate to provide for your body's needs. Think about places where you can get the food that your body needs to live, grow, learn, and play. You might think of a grocery store or a restaurant. You might think of your home or your school. Write the name of one place that would be a good choice as a source of food. Tell why you would choose that place and what you would be able to eat there. This week's tasting is broccoli. Use all 5 of your senses when you do your tasting.
Today's recipe is easy cauliflower and broccoli. Let's go check out Molly in the kitchen.
Hi, I'm Molly with West Virginia University Extension Service Family Nutrition Program, and today we're going to make easy cauliflower and broccoli. For this recipe, you need 4 cups of cut up broccoli pieces and 4 cups of cut up cauliflower pieces, a half a cup of water, a 1/4 cup of skim or 1% milk, 4 ounces of fat-free cream cheese, a half a cup of low-fat plain yogurt, 1.5 cups of shredded reduced fat sharp cheddar cheese. about 1/3 cup of cracker crumbs, and 3 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese. I have washed and cut our broccoli into bite-sized pieces and washed and cut up our cauliflower into bite-sized pieces. That will help it cook faster and make it easier to eat. I'm going to add our broccoli to our skillet and our cauliflower and our 1/2 cup of water. You can use a skillet on the stove. Just make sure it has a lid. I'm going to mix this all up, turn our heat up to high, and steam it for about 3 minutes. Okay, our broccoli and cauliflower has been steaming for about 3 minutes. You want it to still be crisp, but the pieces to also be nice and tender. Now we're going to add our 1/4 cup of skim or 1% milk. Turn our heat down to low. Then our fat-free cream cheese. I've cut it up into little cubes. That will make it easier to melt. Let that melt. As that's getting incorporated, we're going to add our 1/2 cup of low-fat plain yogurt. Now we're getting our cream cheese and our yogurt to coat all of our delicious broccoli and cauliflower. We want that creamy goodness on every piece. Once it's all coated, we are going to sprinkle our shredded sharp cheddar cheese on, and then let it melt. Come on, cheese. Doesn't this look good? So I'm going to let that melt. Put my lid on for a minute, and the steam will help it to melt. While I'm waiting for that to melt, I'm going to add our cracker crumbs to the Parmesan cheese. I just took about 10 buttery round crackers, put them in a Ziploc bag, and crushed them to get our cracker crumbs. This is going to add just a nice topping and crunch to our cauliflower and broccoli. Okay, our cheese is melting away, and now I'm going to sprinkle my Parmesan cheese and cracker crumbs on top. So I'm going to scoop up a little bit, turn my heat down. All my cauliflower and broccoli is coated with the cream cheese, the yogurt, the milk, and then I've got my sharp cheddar cheese on top and my crunchy breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese on top of that. That is really delicious. I really hope you give this recipe a try, and I can't wait to cook again with you next week. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon with the West Virginia University Extension Service Family Nutrition Program, and this is my good friend Quench. Today we are going to show you how to make a backyard obstacle course out of some things we just have sitting around our house. So we're going to get started here. Quench, The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do a hopscotch that we made on our sidewalk with some old chalk. Good job, Quench. Now we're gonna follow a squiggly line. Hopefully we don't get too dizzy. All right, now next thing we're gonna do is add to the hula hoops and inner tube. And we're just gonna run or hop through those. Good job. On to dizzy bat. Quench is gonna spin 3 times with the bat. 1, 2, 3. And now we're gonna walk the balance beam. Careful, Quench. Great job. Now we're gonna run over to some old buckets that we had laying around the yard, and we're gonna leapfrog. One more. Next, we're gonna run, duck under the tree limb. And we have a bunch of old beach balls and wiffle balls that we're gonna throw into this bucket. We have to get 2 in before we can move on. Great job, Quench. Now we're gonna run to the next obstacle, run through the pool noodles. And now we have some lines on the concrete that we're gonna hop around. We have some water, and we're gonna water a plant. Great job, Quench. Now to finish everything off, we're gonna run back to the hopscotch board. And hopscotch one more time, squiggly line, and finish. Great job, Quench. Now what Quench is gonna do is he's gonna come back here, and we're gonna run the obstacle course and see how fast we can go. Alrighty, Quench, just give me a second here. All right, you ready, Quench? All right, on your mark, get set, go. Great job, Quench. Go, 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 go. Dizzy bat, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Great job. Balance beam. Be careful you don't fall. Awesome. Now we're going to leapfrog over the buckets again. 1 bucket, 2 buckets, and 3 buckets. Duck under the branch. Onto the ball toss. 1. Great job, Quench. 2. Oh, no, you missed. 1 more time. Great job. Run through the pool noodles. All right, and now we're gonna jump again. 1, 2, 3. Onto the watering the plant. Okay, great job, Quench. Hopscotch and squiggly line to finish. Great job. Thank you everyone for watching. We hope you have fun making your own obstacle course. And remember, Quench says to drink lots of water to stay healthy.
Hey Energy Express friends, did you have a fun day? I know I did. Well, we'll see you again soon for more fun and more activities. Have a good one. Bye-bye.